This is really important, not even just for winter months. As a single mom, I know firsthand that isolation can be very real. When my best ideas come to me, oftentimes during those quiet moments, I just allow myself some space to kind of feel it out and think through it and process it. Maybe you know that you need to change some things in your winter routine. That just means that you're not just tired. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Amber Shaw, and thank you for being here with me today. Listen, if you're a single mom who's really feeling just the weight of winter right now, girl, I want you to know you are not alone. You know, one of the things that I've been noticing just in my DMs, and by the way, if you don't follow me over on Instagram, hit me up over there, shameless plug, MS Amber Shaw. But many of you have been sharing that you are feeling stuck and overwhelmed and maybe just plain friggin' exhausted during these darker months. And let's be honest, like still managing, I think like the post-holiday emotional dip while you're just rolling as a solo parent, like that's a whole new level. And that's hard, especially if that was the first holiday that you navigated as a divorced woman. Or even if you're listening to the show and you're not divorced, I know everybody I think can identify just like the post-holiday blues and like how depressing freaking January and February can feel. I can recall my first winter as a single mom. It's just like when the excitement of like the holidays is faded. And I just really found myself just staring out into those like gray abyss January, February days and just feeling like I always thought that like new year, new me, like all the things. And honestly, like the depression, the post-holiday depression can be super real. Like I just felt like during kid-free weekends, the house just felt really quiet. And then I didn't really want to get out and do anything because it was so damn cold. And even simple things like my morning routine with my morning walk and all of that, like when it's like in the 20s, I'm sorry, I don't feel like getting out there and doing it. And so I think for me, that very first one, I realized that God, the weather does affect me emotionally more than maybe I realized. And I think that's true for everybody else. So today, if you're somebody who is stuck in the winter blues and really kind of struggling, like maybe you're feeling like you're in a little bit of a funk, I really want to spend a little bit of time today transforming how you experience the winter as a single mom. And we're not just talking about just surviving in these months, right? I really want to really use this season to explore how to use this as a catalyst for your growth, right? Yes, we're not getting outside as much, but maybe there's some things that you can change in your routine to still maximize this first quarter. All right. So just to kind of normalize, I think why winter hits single moms a little bit differently. Number one, let's just like call this real. Okay. Like you're managing your kids' indoor energy all by your freaking self. Can we just talk about that for a minute, right? Like you're stuck inside in the house with the kids. We just had a snow day here in Atlanta at the time I'm recording this. And I'm going to tell you what, I was trying to work and my kids are a little bit older, but it's always like, mom, can you do this? Mom, can you come into my room? Can you come into my room? Can you look at this? And like literally I heard that 50 times from my son, Sean. It was like, he wanted me to look at something on like Xbox. Okay. So I don't care how old your kids are. Listen, when everybody's like cooped up in the house and if you're managing this on your own, it's hard, right? I also think that like shorter days just can impact as a single parent, right? Like when it's getting darker faster, that does impact your schedule, right? So I want to again normalize this. I also think that what can hit you after the holidays into the winter is sometimes that financial pressure after the holiday spending, right? Like maybe you realize in January, February, like, oh shit. Okay. Yeah. Like remember that, whatever it is I bought over the holidays or just the money I had to spend just for gifts and all of that, you might be feeling a little bit of pressure. You also might be isolating a little bit more. I think that's normal too. Like I said, I mean, I don't want to go anywhere when it's this cold, right? But there's actual science behind these mood changes too. So number one, like the reduced sunlight, that definitely affects your mood, your stress, just with the seasons changing and just like the less sunshine, less freaking vitamin D, that also can just affect your mood. I also think that you're moving less. I'm not getting out there. I'm not getting out there doing my walking. I'm also not getting out there doing my freaking cold plunge because I don't want to. It's cold. Mine's also outside, so I have to drain mine. But yeah, I'm not doing a lot of the things that I normally do in the warmer months that help me with my mood. I know for me, that's a huge change for me. I'm also like in the winter months, I think I'm eating more like sugary foods, comfort foods. So then that doesn't make so my energy can be low as well. Because for me, like a salad and crunchy vegetables, I'm sorry, that doesn't sound as appealing to me when it's 20, 30 freaking degrees out. So if you are feeling low energy, just a little sidebar, like some of the things that you might just want to pay attention to. Maybe you know that you need to like change some things in your winter routine. That just means that you're just not just tired. Maybe if you're changing your sleeping patterns, right? Maybe you're not sleeping as good. Maybe your energy is all over the place. Maybe you've got some comfort food cravings. These are all also, by the way, like just sidebar, signs of some hormonal changes. But like your hormones can fluctuate too when you're moving less, right? When you're not getting as good a sleep, your diet is not as good as it normally is. Like that also can, effectuate your hormones, right? So affect how you feel, right? Some emotional indicators is like, yeah, maybe you're more irritable. Maybe you feel a little bit more overwhelmed, like your anxiety is higher. Maybe you are struggling just to make like simple decision, like your decision-making process is struggling a little bit. Again, these are all signs that you just may need to change up your routine a little bit and that your environment absolutely affecting these things. And I want to just share with you 3 action steps that you can do to just change up your routine in the winter. Don't sell yourself short by just flying through this winter and doing everything the way you've always done it in the other months, expecting for you to like feel your best, because there's literally, like I said, there's some factors going on here that we need to change. So the first thing I want you to do is I do want you to create a morning light routine. Listen, depending on where you live, like if you live in Southern California, like, yeah, girl, get outside and just put your face to the sun in your PJs. Like, even if you're just doing a morning stretch or you're getting coffee, I don't care what that looks like. Just get your face in the sun. Now, for those of you though, who you're like, Amber, I live in the North, I'm not getting out there. I can tell you, even living in Atlanta, girl, I'm not getting out there when it's freaking 30, 40 degrees. I'm not doing it. So my light routine is, listen, I use my higher dose face mask. I use my red light therapy, and it's not the same thing as getting straight up sunshine. But listen, I can tell you that I definitely feel a lot better even from doing the red light therapy on my face. If you guys aren't familiar with red light, I freaking want to tell you guys about this red light mask I use. It is, like I said, by higher dose. This thing is awesome. I put it on for like 10 to 20 minutes and it helps with your complexion. For me, it helps with your mood. I mean, it just helps to brighten your face. I'm addicted to my red light therapy. I partner with Higher Dose. So if you guys ever want to check it out, I do get like a 15% discount on that. I'll throw that in the show notes if you guys wanted to check that out, but it's worth it. I love my freaking red light therapy. So I want you just to create a simple morning light routine. Either get your face in the sun or girl, slap that red light therapy mask on. Start your freaking day right. The other thing that you can do is helpful to start a winter reflection practice. Now, listen, you guys have heard me talk about this before. I am not the person who's like going to sit in the morning and journal for hours. Okay. Like I'm just not a journaler. I like to write things down when they're like on my mind, but my morning routine is more like reflection time. I like to just kind of settle into whatever's going on with me. Sometimes I use it as like a think tank for my business. It's like when my best ideas come to me, oftentimes like during those quiet moments. Sometimes I just am processing, like if I'm feeling something or if something's bothering me, I just allow myself some space to kind of feel it out and think through it and process it. So for me, I have a reflection practice that happens all year round. And I highly recommend doing the same, but especially in the winter months where you may be feeling a little bit more down and maybe you're not getting outside and moving your body, use that time to sit and get quiet. What I like to do is I like to have like a little space that I go to. I usually actually just go out because I do it when my kids are asleep. And actually I've trained my kids too. They know if they wake up, they need to stay in their room until I have an 11 and 13-year-old. They freaking know. Do not interrupt mom's quiet time. Like when it hits 7 o'clock, then mom's ready to talk. But prior to that, like stay in your room, do whatever you got to do, but do not bother me prior to 7 a.m. And that is my time. I sit on the couch because that's like my most cozy. I have an electric, like a heated blanket, and I sit with my red light therapy mask on for 20 minutes. And I sit with my cozy blanket on with my cup of coffee and I just sit there. And at first it was for like 5 minutes. And then I freaking realized that I loved it so damn much that I've started working my way up. Now I get up an hour before I have to even start getting ready for anything. And I just have that time for myself. Now, if you're like, Amber, an hour, I just don't even know how I could do that, then start with 5 minutes. I just want you to start with 5 minutes. So I want you to just choose a space, choose a cozy little nook in your house, whatever that looks like, but a space that's just for you. And, it can be helpful, even though I'm not like a big journaler, I do like just do some simple prompts just to help me to kind of settle in and think. So some different prompts you could do are things like write down, like reflect on this, right? Like what out of your week energized you and what out of your week drained you. This is really important. I do this exercise a lot too, even just like on a quarterly basis. And I should do it more, but in my business, thinking about like, okay, what in my business as a coach, what drains me and what lights me the hell up? This actually is what helps me to understand maybe where I need to hire in my business, right? Maybe some things that I need to outsource and not be doing myself. What energizes or what drains you? Another one is maybe thinking about some behaviors or some patterns that you need to release. If you're trying to make some changes in your life and you find that you just keep getting stuck, are there some different patterns that you're noticing that you need to change? Another prompt or another reflection thing you can think on is, are there any new habits that you want to cultivate? Any new habits that you want to start doing? Anything you want to start bringing into your life? Another vision prompt that you can think of is a great visualization one as well, is like writing down your vision for like your spring emergence, right? Like coming out of the freaking winter hibernation, thinking through, is there anything that I want to do for the spring, right? Thinking about what you want the spring to look like. The last action step that I want to share with you guys is creating a connection calendar. This is really important. I think not even just for winter months, but I got to tell you, as a single mom, I know firsthand that isolation can be very real. In the beginning, I think, especially when I was going through divorce and newly divorced, isolation for me was a choice. But I just mean like, it was like, I felt so insecure and I was dealing with my own emotional shit. And I just didn't want to like be out and about and everything felt overwhelming. And I just was embarrassed that I was going through divorce, like all the things, right? I just wanted to isolate. I think now, I'm 5 years post navigating all of that. And I will tell you that it's still, the older I get, it can be easier to isolate because listen, I don't want to go out like to the bars. I don't want to go out. I don't want to go out and be social. I just don't. And so I think that for me, I can find myself like pouring myself into work. And if I'm in a relationship, like it's my work, my relationship, and my kids, and that's it. And I can find myself like not purposely isolating from my friends and stuff, but sometimes feeling like I'm a little stretched thin. And so then I think that I realize that I am missing those connections. And so what I've found as I get older is you have to be intentional with your connections, particularly when it comes to your friends, right? And even particularly when it comes to, I think, your family. I think any relationship, you have to be intentional with connection. But I really do think that intentionality is so important. Maybe for you, it's just identifying one weekly connection opportunity. If you can't go to an in-person coffee date, maybe do a virtual coffee date or a wine date or whatever. One of my favorite things that I do with my mom and my sisters, and we need to make this more regular. During COVID, we were doing this more regular. I think that a time went on and things got busy, but we were doing like once a week Zooms and it was so freaking fun. And I loved it. And it just lit me the hell up. So think about like one connection opportunity. So maybe it's a mom's group meetup, right? Maybe it's just scheduling a call with a friend. I know sometimes that feels crazy that we have to like schedule calls with our friends, but in the busy world that we live in, that can be true, right? So just to kind of sum it up, my 3 action steps I want for you to be able to navigate the winter from a place of just joy and fulfillment and gratitude and all the things is I want you to get going with a daily light and movement blueprint, right? So put your face to the sun. Also, I realize I didn't mention the movement piece of it, but listen, if you can't get out and walk, girl, get yourself a damn walking desk. I'm telling you, you can get one on Amazon for under $100. All right. Get yourself not a walking desk, like a walking pad, and just put it in another room and just get on there and walk. You don't even have to buy a full treadmill. Just move your body in some way, or maybe look locally and see if there's like a hot yoga studio. There is nothing better on a cold winter day than going into a warm freaking room and stretching your body. I love it. So that's the first thing, the daily light and movement blueprint. I also want you to think about that winter reflection practice and finding that cozy corner, and then creating a connection calendar, identifying one connection opportunity that you can do this week to stay close to the people that you love. When it comes to the winter, it doesn't have to be this time of isolation and depression. So I really want you to remember something as we move through these winter months, is every small step counts. It really does. You'd be surprised, even those 5 minutes of morning sunlight or the red light mask or just that impromptu coffee date with a friend, all of these things these are the things that add up to help us to feel more grounded, to help us to feel more connected, to help us to feel more joy. So I don't want you just to make it through and survive the winter. I really want you to use this time to just become a stronger, more intentional version of yourself. And so if this episode resonated with you're feeling the winter blues, girl, I want to hear about it. I want you to send me a message over on Instagram, MS Ambershaw, Miss Ambershaw, and just let me know what's been going on with you. Let me know what tip resonated most. Until next time, I want you to keep nurturing that inner light, that inner badass that I know that you have, and I'll see you on the next one.